All right, everything seems to be falling into place when it comes to 2024 and what Nintendo's going to be doing next. We talked about a variety of different things that I think Nintendo will do in 2024 with my big 15 predictions video. If you haven't seen that video, I'll have a link for you guys in the description. You can go check it out. There's a lot of cool stuff in there, but in this video, we're going to be talking about something that happened recently with developers and linking that up to other cryptic / public posts from other developers that are finely tuned and I would say know what's going on when it comes to Nintendo hardware, Nintendo games, because of what they've done previously on the Nintendo Switch. And this is something that I haven't seen people talk about when it comes to the developers that have publicly discussed the Nintendo Switch 2 or Nintendo's next generation machine. There's something that I absolutely want to talk to you guys about because I think it's very important and relates to how Nintendo's probably going to be revealing the system in 2024. And there's a game that we speculated or talked about beforehand that is linking up right now because of a post that the official page did as well. And we're also going to talk about another game that wasn't initially announced for a Nintendo platform, but I absolutely think is coming because of a recent post and some of the other things that we're going to be talking about here. But before we get into any of that, what's good everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you are someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos as soon as they drop, especially with all the stuff that's happening or should happen officially, not just rumors and stuff, but officially with Nintendo Switch 2. Now let's go ahead and jump right into this here, and we're talking about the most recent posts from developers. Now, shout outs to everybody that's reported on this. I have seen a number of videos from Nintendo Prime and On Just Restart. I think also Spawnwave as well. I guess it was from Famitsu. There was some translations there for a gamer, something like that. I think it was for a gamer. Either way, I'll have all of that linked in the description below so you guys can check it out. But we've got some official developers, people that work at Japanese companies. And once again, this links up with something that I said. I said that there will be more Japanese support. This is in my predictions video. I said this right here. Japanese third-party developers show far more initial support for the Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo's next-gen system, than the Nintendo Switch in the early years of that platform. Now, let's talk about what some of these Japanese developers has actually said. Famitsu /4Gamer, 24 dev interviews, Switch 2 quotes and summary here. Now, this is Capcom's Masai Kawada. He said 2024 will also bring new consoles and more indie titles to look forward to. Now, Capcom obviously has a big hand in terms of what Nintendo has done in the past with Switch hardware. They were the ones that actually got Nintendo to put more RAM in the original Nintendo Switch. They were one of the few Japanese developers to release a huge exclusive, at least right there at launch, huge AAA exclusive for the Nintendo Switch with Monster Hunter Rise. They had multiple other titles on the platform. They ported over some of their legacy stuff as well. So Capcom is one, if not the biggest third-party developer on Nintendo's platforms at this point. They're absolutely like a top 2 or 3. And I think that they are talking, when they say new consoles, they are absolutely talking about the Nintendo Switch 2 there and discussing independent games as well, because there's some pretty cool independent stuff happening. Now, next up is from Koei Tecmo, and I'm not going to pronounce the name, but you guys will see it right here because I'm definitely going to butcher it. And he says that Nintendo's new platform has been the focus of much attention! Exclamation mark. So it's been the focus of much attention. Now, here's the thing that I want to add in with Koei Tecmo that once again people are not really adding in from the videos that I've seen. Koei Tecmo was literally the sole main believer from Japanese companies of the Nintendo Switch before the system launched. Now, a lot of developers had like 1 foot in, kind of dipped their toes a little bit, but Koei Tecmo was all in. They had multiple games lined up for the Nintendo Switch. They had Knights of Azure 2, they had other titles that they wanted to do, and they had a pipeline of games. So throughout the Nintendo Switch's early years and throughout the life of the system, most of their engines were good enough. Most of their engines ran on there. Plus, they had big business with Nintendo. Obviously, they do Fire Emblem Warriors. They do Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. They also did, or they helped out more like, when it comes to Fire Emblem Three Houses. So Koei Tecmo clearly had a very big business interest with them, which started on the Wii U with their Hyrule Warriors games and everything, but they really believed in the system even beforehand, investing a lot of time, effort, and money, adapting their engines, getting everything set over so they can have that early support of the system. So yes, Koei Tecmo is going to be there. They've been a huge support for Nintendo throughout the whole life. Stuff like Atelier Ryza, all those games have been coming over, the Samurai Remnant, like they pretty much get everything from Koei Tecmo. So expect there to be big Koei Tecmo games, updates to previous games that launched on the Nintendo Switch, maybe a next gen version of that game, and just overall repackagings, remasters, re-releases, and new titles as well. So yeah, Koei Tecmo's on top of it, and they're so on top of it, there's another quote when it comes to Koei Tecmo, and they said this: "We look forward to seeing what new gaming platforms and their titles will bring to the table." So once again, they're excited about that. Koei Tecmo, I don't think they've ever made more money in a generation than the Nintendo Switch generation. They had their best sales and made the most money in that generation. From what I understand as well, games like Fire Emblem Warriors are some of the best, if not the best selling Warriors games that they've ever done. Even out of their other Warriors games like One Piece and Gundam and other things that they've done, I think Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, to be exact, is the best selling one. So they made a ton of money. They have that support. They want to see this next system be successful, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be some type of Warriors game crossed over with a Nintendo IP that blows us all away, or that we were not expecting from Koei Tecmo. So I think that's one of the reasons why that they are very excited about that. And if you look at it, the first year of the system, or within that first year, we could get that. Could we get a Mario Warriors, a Xeno Warriors, a Pokemon Warriors? Look, all of that is on the table at this point, and I think that Koei Tecmo knows this and probably have been working with something, and I think that at that Nintendo Direct or something like that, we're going to get some crazy announcements from them. But that's the link that people aren't necessarily talking about as much, because Koei Tecmo was there pretty much at the beginning supporting the standard Nintendo Switch. Now let's get into this last part here from Spike Chunsoft, and one of their employees had this to say: "There are rumors of a new Switch, and I am looking forward to seeing what kind of machine it will be." So Spike Chunsoft, for those who don't know, they made the Rain Code game that did incredibly well, over 300,000 units. Absolutely was a AA profitable game for them, and they've also put out other titles on the Nintendo Switch as well. So Spike Chunsoft is also a good AA style developer that helps fill in the gaps and helps bring some unique and different types of games, Danganronpa, things like that. Rain Code has been fantastic, so I like what I'm hearing here from these developers. Koei Tecmo, fantastic AA/AAA developer. Capcom, absolutely phenomenal AAA developer and does smaller things as well. There was also something that I felt would happen in my predictions video. I talked about how Capcom could be bringing back Beautiful Joe, but just in addition to what I already played for you guys, the whole support from third-party developers. Now that the Nintendo Switch is a success and continues to be dominating the sales charts, they're not going to see that and say, maybe we'll just wait to see if it's successful. They're going to put together way more games earlier for this next system than they did with the Nintendo Switch, and that's what this says, because these quotes were not coming out about the Nintendo Switch before launch. People weren't saying all of this stuff. They're just kind of like, we'll see how it goes, and maybe, but the level of excitement was not here. It was absolutely not the same, with the exception of maybe Koei Tecmo, but outside of that, you did not have developers getting excited, getting ready, because they weren't making money off of the 3DS and Wii U like they would have wanted to, and the sales just weren't there. But the sales of the Nintendo Switch have been spectacular, and their game sales have been great. Without the Nintendo Switch, the Japanese market definitely goes into a little bit of a recession, I think, when it comes to the gaming market. So the Switch, I think, helped really boost and bolster the Japanese gaming market, because it's dominated the dedicated Japanese gaming market. We're talking outside of mobile and smartphones, because mobile and smartphone is still the biggest in Japan and in most countries, but I'm just talking about the dedicated core gaming market, in addition to like that side casual Momotaro type of thing. Those games really brought tons of revenue and extra development resources and hirings to where the market has been able to move up, and we don't see everything going into mobile gaming purely and all of that. And I think even for a game that we're going to talk about, Switch was instrumental to this happening. So I feel that the next gen game, which we will discuss, is going to be something on the next Switch. Now let's talk about why this all kind of lines up a bit from a post on a game that Nintendo and this other company worked with very closely on. And yes, I'm talking about Daemon X Machina. Now, what we know about this game is that back, I think in 2018, I forgot exactly when, but I know it was within the first year or so, couple years of the Nintendo Switch's launch, there was a E3 Direct, and Daemon X Machina was like the first game shown, and there was a whole back and forth between myself and the publishers, and they were claiming videos, and it was a whole saga. But the game ended up being solid, not the greatest mech game out there, but still a very good game, and ended up selling well despite them not wanting, despite the publisher Marvelous not wanting people to talk about it because they were claiming every single video, reactions, and everything. I think the game could have easily done 2 million plus if they actually let content creators talk about it, because it's a mech game. You need as much word of mouth as possible, and people just weren't talking about the game because they were claiming everything. But on Twitter, the official Daemon X Machina post actually put up saying this: Happy New Year, Daemon X Machina, Titanic Scion. That's the next one, 2024. So are they saying it's coming out 2024 or the year is 2024? Well, if you remember, when they announced this game, there was no platforms. If this was going to be a Xbox, PlayStation game, whatever the case is, I think they would have absolutely announced the platforms. But since the main audience for this type of game is on the Nintendo Switch, is on a Nintendo platform, with it coming to PC later down the line, I absolutely feel that announcement was for the Nintendo Switch 2. Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion is a Nintendo Switch 2 game. They're saying 2024. They're saying Happy New Year. They're saying looking forward to your support of this. And obviously, they're going to launch this game. It was a early Nintendo Switch game with Daemon X Machina. This is going to be an early Nintendo Switch 2 game, and I think that this time they're not going to claim people's videos and all that, because I think eventually they lifted that, but sometimes it still claims videos if you use certain trailers and all that. So I'm not sure what's going on, but either way, Daemon X Machina, Titanic Scion, this all lines up. The developer quotes that we just discussed right now, what's going on in 2024, the rumors of it being a 2024 system. Nintendo has announcements. They're showing the game off more. They haven't said any details. If it was Xbox and PlayStation, I think the systems would have been noted, and then later a Switch version gets added. But I think Nintendo and Marvelous want this to be announced as a Switch 2 game and showing off the game when it comes to the graphics and everything, because Daemon X Machina was one of the best looking Nintendo Switch titles, easily, in my opinion, one of the best looking Nintendo Switch titles that I forgot to put on my best graphics list, but absolutely should have been there. I'm afraid of just even mentioning Daemon X Machina on YouTube because Marvelous be going after people. But yeah, I think that it's absolutely coming, and this kind of links back to what some of those developers are saying. Now, another thing that I want to talk about here, actually there's a couple different things, but I'll start first with Visions of Mana. Square Enix put out a new, not even new, but Square Enix put out a small little teaser clip on Twitter saying who's excited to take on new and familiar foes in hashtag Visions of Mana at Mana Games. So the thing about Visions of Mana is that it's a game that has been like 15, 20 years, nearly 2 decades in the making, right? We really haven't gotten anything new in quite some time, and we haven't gotten anything to this level of fidelity. The Mana series is very interesting because it started out so many decades ago, and there's been consistent games up to a certain point. Then it just kind of stopped because the sales kind of stopped and the quality wasn't great. But then the Nintendo Switch comes around, right? The Nintendo Switch comes around and we get Collections of Mana. Collections of Mana finally coming out. Took a while from the Japanese release to the Western release, but we finally got Collections of Mana, and it blew up. People were buying that like crazy. A lot of extra revenue for essentially a ROM dump on a cartridge or just downloading it. So that was a lot of money. And then with that bombshell of Collection of Mana finally coming over to the West, we got Trials of Mana, which is the third game, Seiken Densetsu 3, which was never officially localized beforehand up until that point. And then they remake the game completely in Unreal Engine 4. That game sells over 1.3 million units, and a lot of that, more like most of it, on the Nintendo Switch platform. Mana is known for being more of like on Nintendo, and a ton of cash is infused and gets put into the Mana series. Now they know that they have a solid fan base of people that are going to buy Mana, and that's why the quality of this Mana game is as high as it is. Now, don't get me wrong, they probably have been planning a new game for a while now, but you're not going to plan a big game that looks this good with this amount of budget if you're not getting revenue from that franchise. And Collection of Mana on the Nintendo Switch, Trials of Mana as well, helped fund this big one here. So I do feel that, yes, Visions of Mana, it's been confirmed for PC, Xbox Series, and PlayStation 5, but I do think a Nintendo Switch version will also be added on as well, because that is where their base is. And I think that the visual fidelity and the graphics of this game kind of is maybe a little bit too much for the Nintendo Switch, and it makes more sense to have it as a early Switch title. Plus, if it doesn't do as well on the Switch, you still have a big install base with PC, Xbox, and PlayStation that can hopefully make up for it. But you absolutely need the Nintendo Switch for a game like this and the fans that like the Mana series, which is mostly on Nintendo platforms. Now, let's talk about one more thing here that could be a Nintendo Switch 2 game, but is confirmed for the Nintendo Switch as well. Could be cross-gen or even backwards compatibility, and that is Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. Now, we do have a little bit of an update. A lot of you guys have talked to me about this. I wanted to make sure that I get it out there so you guys can discuss it in this post, because I'm excited for this game. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door has been officially rated by the Entertainment Software Rating Board, the ESRB for short, and what this means is that this game is done. Nintendo is done with the content in the game. Now, there still might be some bug polishing and other little things that they're going to do, maybe with the day one update, but essentially the game is done. They've submitted it. Anything that's going to be in the game, whether it's extra content or whatever is happening, it's all in there, and really everything's all systems go. Once it kind of finishes up there, it's been rated, all systems go. They can launch this game once they want to. Like, once they get the production of the carts, I'm pretty sure that's already done, and they're kind of waiting, or it's going to be done pretty soon here. So Nintendo can deploy this game almost at any point. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to come out in the next 2 weeks, or it's going to be revealed, re-revealed, or something like that soon. It just means that the game is essentially done with its content, and Nintendo is kind of in the driver's seat right now. Now, it's pretty much the same as before. Mild fantasy violence, mild suggestive themes. This is an adventure role-playing game in which players help Mario rescue Princess Peach from an alien group, reads the ESRB rating summary for the game. And there's also more. You travel through whimsical worlds, interact with different characters, turn/puzzle-based combat against paper creatures, various different attacks, boot stomp, hammer strike, all that good stuff. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, to me, is still the best Mario RPG game. There's a lot of Mario RPG games. There's a lot of Paper Mario RPG games and different styles of games, or different styles of Paper Mario games that aren't quite RPGs but have slight RPG elements. But this is the cream of the crop. To me, it's Super Mario RPG, which we just got, and that was incredible. People love that game, and more people are buying that game and saying that it's incredible. But this is the game that kind of evolved it, right? Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door took that base of what was awesome about Super Mario RPG and made it even better, made it longer, made more content, just so much stuff that fleshes out the experience, whereas Super Mario RPG is just more like the beginning, the base of everything that was to come when it comes to Mario RPG games. Mario and Luigi series, obviously Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. So I'm excited about this. Nintendo picked the 2 best Mario RPG games, in my opinion, to bring back on the Nintendo Switch, and they are going to be rewarded greatly, because Super Mario RPG is already beating out Origami King. It's already on a faster track when it comes to sales, and Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, I think, is going to beat both of them handily. So this is the way to go, Nintendo. This is the way. We don't even need Ugandan Knuckles to tell us about that. This is the way to get it done. So I am excited to see how this game sells and what the future lies for Mario RPG series. So what are your thoughts on everything that we talked about here when it comes to Nintendo Switch 2 stuff, developers talking about the system, and more? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you are someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other big Nintendo Switch news videos and collections right here on screen. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.